I went to see Rogue One tonight. My one word review is disappointing. I went to go see Rogue One in 3D, which, if you can see, I wear glasses. So I actually bought the Syx little clip-on, which made the 3D actually tolerable. The problem you can see is that the lens, that these are designed for small glasses, and I like large glasses because I like to be able to see a lot through the lenses, which is kind of difficult, but it worked. They clip on. It made seeing the 3D effects actually bearable. Normally that's there. That's saying a lot because I wear glasses and I'm not particularly a fan of 3D. The one that I saw was okay. I'll put it that way. It was passable. There were some interesting ways to look at things, but it wasn't as in your face as some 3D, but you did see the nice 3D effects, and it was much more tolerable. So that part of it was good. It was okay. I won't say great because it still didn't give me the greatest feeling, and if I was going to see it again, I wouldn't see it in 3D. But that's the big if. I'm not going to go see it again. I wouldn't. I saw it once, and I should have waited for it to come out on cable. In my opinion, it was a waste of the extra money because it was disappointing. The special effects were great. They were up to snuff and things like that, but the story wasn't compelling. I didn't find any of the characters really. I couldn't get invested in any of the characters. The quote semi-love story that was there was no chemistry between the characters. Why did they think that they threw that in there? And it just did, at least at the end, where hopefully you know that this is my opinion, so you hear a little bit, giving away a little bit, but the guy reaches over with his hand to hold the girl's hand. That was, yeah, it just didn't fit. The problem that I had was it made the Empire look like a bunch of buffoons. They weren't a real challenge. If the rebellion was that powerful that they could take on the Empire, what was, this whole picture of the characters in, what is now called A New Hope, the episode 4, the first one. Now, I've went to the first showing of every one of the Star Wars films from the first day that Star Wars, as it was called, or now A New Hope, was released, through Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi and The Phantom Menace. I've been to the opening show of every one of them. And this one is disappointing because, and the reason that I say that is it was too Disneyfied. It was just too sweet. Like I said, the ending, which should have been dark because people are dying, but it's not. And that's the problem. You felt nothing. If you remember, when the first time you saw Empire Strikes Back, how dark and how that grabbed you. Luke, I am your father. That's an amazing scene that's captivated audiences ever since. And the darkness that is set up in there should have been in this film because you're setting up, it's the setup to lead into A New Hope, as it's called. And I look at it and I go, it's just horrible. And if if the rebels had a methodology of totally wiping out the power and defenses of one of the Star Destroyers, why did they only use it one time? In essence, if you have a methodology that works, wouldn't you want to use it more than once? But no, we couldn't do that. We have to just get, do all this. It just, and that whole scene about that in the movie, about the Star Destroyer and the Hammerhead, and it's just, it just was stupid. I thought that was dumb. It lost, the Star Destroyers were supposed to be dangerous. And you got the implication for me of when I saw it, they just looked incompetent. I mean, nothing about the Empire looked incompetent. The speeches of Darth Vader was always laconic. He chose his words and gave short speeches. If you only knew the dark side of the Force, it says, give in to your feelings, all of that going back to Empire Strikes Back. And even in the first Star Wars. Now, the one set of special effects that were actually amazing was bringing back characters, some characters that are gone, and Christopher Lee, or I always get them mixed up. Christopher Lee, and what was the other guy who played the admiral who was running that? It didn't fit. Darth Vader, and that didn't fit well with what leads into the next show, which would be the Star Wars A New Hope. So I was very disappointed. This was too sweet. It's like you're, I guess the way to imagine you're going out for a meal and you order a steak. Now, there are preparations of steak or beef that have some sweetness to them. But normally, if I'm going to go and get a nice steak, I want the taste of the meat, the juiciness, the unctuous flavor, and the beefiness, I guess. And if it's sweet, that's, to me, that isn't it. I know there are some people who like steak sauce and various things, but there's often always a little bit of tang even with those things. But it just didn't have that. It was insipid. It just didn't grab me. There was nothing about the film that was that compelling. The special effects were great, but they didn't provide enough plot to drive it forward. And it's just, it just wasn't there. It didn't grab me. I was hoping that they would come out with some new shows that would inspire a new generation. I can't see how anybody gets inspired by this one. I mean, yes, the special effects are great. Okay. But there's not enough plot. From watching the trailers and then seeing seeing the film, it was just not that impressive. I mean, you look at the AT-ATs, the big Imperial walkers, and in Empire Strikes Back, you see them talking about, their blasters, their armor is too thick, we can't take it unless I just hit it in just the right spot. And, yeah, it came out, if we do this and we do this, we can kill them easily. And that, it in essence, it took the canon, which was, the structure that was in Empire Strikes Back and New Hope and Return of the Jedi of the Empire at this time, and made them look like buffoons, and they just weren't capable of acting in a realistic manner to be really a threat. And that's what the big weakness was. You have to have good villains. And the example that you have in Star Wars was Darth Vader in Empire Strikes Back is really an ominous figure. He's a very powerful, one of the most powerful figures in all of filmdom, in my opinion. And he competes, the best villain to compare him to is Arik Goldfinger in the Bond movie Goldfinger. And there's another villain that you can understand that is really, you understand. Goldfinger loves the feel of gold, the weight of gold. You can tell it. And he just, this classic line that James Bond says, "Do you expect me to talk?" And he goes, "No, Mr. Bond, I expect you to die." And here we have Darth Vader, who is delivered these wonderful lines in Empire Strikes Back, giving insipid lines in Rogue One, and nothing memorable. And what was the one line? "I wouldn't want you to choke on your ambitions," which is, it would have been better. Darth Vader showed just a little bit. He didn't. He just wasn't. He just wasn't the most powerful victim. I mean, most powerful villain that he should have been. And it's like you have Darth Vader charging down the hallway with killing some rebels toward the end of the film, and you go, no, that's not the way Darth Vader would have done it. Darth Vader would just walked calmly down there and had his minions, shall we say, his stormtroopers beside him, fighting them, and he would just stand there ignoring the bullets. And the whole thing about the blind, the blind semi-Jedi, they didn't want to call him a Jedi Knight, but that was it. And the crossbow, which just bothered me, but that's always bothered me in Star Wars when Chewbacca carried that. But it just didn't inspire. It was disappointing. So watch it when it comes out on cable, or when it comes out in television in a couple of years, after they've chopped it up and add some commercials. That actually may improve it. Hate to say that, but it really just was, it left a taste in my mouth. It's where I wanted to get something more substantive. It just didn't fill my desire for a good science fiction film. It's just insipid. I look forward to learning what you think about this video. Do you agree with my opinion? Do you disagree? Let me know in the comments below. If you like the video, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, give me a thumbs down. I appreciate both. If you're new here and want to subscribe, there you can click on my icon, or if you're interested, there's some more content on the right.